Apakah suara saya bisa didengar? Apakah jelas? Oh, mohon maaf. Miss Dewi? Oh, Oke. Maaf, tadi saya lupa kalau settingnya udah saya mute dari awal. Oke, kita mulai ya semuanya ya. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to IELTS Speaking class with me, Inche. Nice to meet you. So today we will be working specifically on IELTS Speaking Part 1. All right. Now I'm going to begin with the speaking test overview. So this is very important, especially if you have upcoming IELTS speaking test, in order to know what is the real situation that you will face in the D-Day, okay? So I'm going to explain this in detail one by one. So first, in IELTS speaking test, this is the kind of test that is one-on-one with the examiner. So there will be no other participants inside of the examination room. It's only you and the interviewer, okay? And then the speaking IELTS test, the IELTS speaking test will take around 11 to 14 minutes in total. There are 4 criteria on the band descriptors that will be assessed. Those are fluency and cohesion, vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. And all these descriptors, all these criteria has the same proportion, okay? There are 3 sections or 3 parts. The first is the part 1, which mostly the questions are about yourself and everyday situation. This test will take about 3 to 5 minutes in total. And then the next is part 2, or is called as individual long-term. You will be given a topic and you have to talk about that topic for 1 to 2 minutes without interruption for the examiner, and you cannot choose the topic. So it's already decided by the examiner. All right, now let's go to the last part. The part 3, it's called as a conversation on an abstract topics, but mostly the questions are still related to the part 2, but more in a general way. So this part will take around 4 to 5 minutes in total. All right. Now let's talk about what will happen on the test day. When you come to the test place, then you will be waiting turns with the other participants in the waiting room, and then the examiner will invite you to come into the room. So after that, the examiner will do a brief introduction and a quick check of your identification. Either it's your KTP or your passport. After that, the examiner will always ask you these 3 questions. The first is your complete name, and then your nickname, and where do you come from? So when you get these 3 questions, be sure to give short and factual information about yourself. I'm going to give you an example. So if I were asked this question, what is your complete name? Then the answer would be, my name is Inche Adinda. What should I call you? You can call me Inche. Could you tell me where you are from? I'm from Malang. So there is no need to elaborate your answer because this is just like a warming up part of the part 1. So again, if you get these 3 questions in the very beginning of the test, you don't have to elaborate your answer. So just be sure to give short and factual information about yourself. Okay, now let's move to the next question. After having the warming up part, the examiner will most likely to ask you these two types of questions. The first is, what do you do? Or the same as, what is your occupation? Are you working or are you studying? Okay, and then the next question would be, where do you live? So the rest of the questions in the part one are really, how to say that, closely related to these two questions. For example, if you are asked, what do you do? And then you said, I am working, then the rest of the questions will probably will be the questions about your job or your workplace, something like that. But if you are a student, then you will get questions about your study, about your university, about your school, something like that. But if you get the second question, which is, where do you live? Then most likely you will get questions about your hometown or something that deals with your neighborhood or your favorite food. Yeah, something like that. Now let's see the do's and don'ts when you are in the warming up part on the part one. So like I said, when you are asked these questions, these three questions, be sure not to elaborate your answer. But if you are asked these questions, what do you do and where do you live, you surely want to extend your answer. For example, what do you do? You don't want to say something short like, I'm a teacher. That's too short. You have to elaborate your answer. I think 2 or 3 sentences is okay. And here is the example. I'm an English teacher at a private university in Malang. I've been teaching there since 2018. Good example. Okay. And then the next question is, where do you live? Again, this is no longer in the warming up part. Okay. So you have to extend your answer. You have to say something like, I've been living in Malang for 2 years now. I'm not sure if you are familiar with Malang, but I can tell you if it's a beautiful city. All right, now let's have a quick recap. These 3 questions about yourself, that is your name, your nickname, and your location, you can answer with a short answer, very short. But the 4th and 5th question, you have to elaborate that. So 2 or 3 sentences would be okay. All right. Now, before we go to the next topic, please, if you have questions or something that you have in mind that you want to ask me, please write it down in the comment section, and then I'm going to read it and answer it later. All right. Let's have a quick practice on the warming up part in IELTS Speaking Part 1. Please raise your hand if you want to practice. Kalau ada yang mau practice warming up part IELTS Part 1, silakan bisa raise your hand. Okay, we have Miss Intan.
Okay, Miss.
Hello.
Hello.
How should I call you?
Well, my name is Intan Tomata Dewi Nur Hidayat. Address me Intan.
Could you tell me where you are from?
I was born in Jakarta and I live in Jakarta. And I live too in Jakarta. It's the capital city of Indonesia, the most crowded city in Indonesia. And then I love to live in my city.
Right. What do you do? Sorry, what do you do?
Right now, I am a accounting staff at private company in West Jakarta, and right now right now I want to pursue my dream to get master degree in the future.
Nice practice, yeah. Thank you, Miss
Thank
Intan.
you.
So
Thank you.
everyone, it's like that. When you are asked these three questions, make sure to give brief answer. And then if I ask you the fourth or fifth questions, you can give a little bit of elaboration. Now let's start with room Zoom Stiesa. What's your name, Miss or Mister?
Sorry, Miss. I am Rahmi.
All right.
I haven't changed the account.
No problem. Now let's start. What's your name?
My name is Rahmi.
What should I call you?
Actually, my full name is Rahmi Rahmawati, but you can call me Rahmi.
Right. Could you tell me where you are from?
I am from Bandung, West Java. I live here since I was a child.
Right. Where do you live now?
I live in Bandung too.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, Rahmi. So everyone, it's very simple. All the questions are actually as simple as that. So I'm sure that you will be able to answer all the questions. Yeah, I see Miss Uni.
Hello, Miss.
Hello, can we start now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. What is your complete name?
My name is Yuni Nurhayati.
How should I call you?
You can just call me Yuni.
Could you tell me where you are from?
I'm from Denpasar.
What do you do?
Well, my partner and I run a small business in training and human capital development, especially in banking sector.
Very good. Thank you, Miss Uni.
You're welcome, Miss.
Now let's move on. Now let's see the questions and model answer for IELTS Part 1. Here is one of the most frequently asked questions in the Part 1. Now let's take a look at one question that I have provided here. Tell me something about your family. Nice. Now let's see my model answer. Here I said, well, I'm a family of 4. I have a brother who lives in another city. I've been living in Malang for 2 years now. And last year I got married, then I moved out from my parents' house and get a new one with my husband. So if you are asking me how many sentences do we have to produce in order to answer the questions in part 1, then my answer is going to be there's nothing mathematical about that. But ideally, if you can produce 2 or 3 sentences for each and every questions in part 1, then you're safe. Okay? Right, now let's take a look at some expressions or phrases in the bold and underlined. Here I said family of 4, and then I've been living in and moved out. So here are some of the examples of advanced vocabulary, I would say, that can give you better score in IELTS speaking test. So instead of saying I have 4 members in my family, then you could say I'm a family of 4, which actually has the similar meaning as I have 4 members in my family, but this one is more like advanced, okay? And the next thing is I've been living in Malang for 2 years now. It's a complex tenses, it's present perfect. So if you are able to use complex tenses, then it will show that you are most likely a strong candidate in IELTS speaking test. And then the next is moved out. This is called as phrasal verb, very common in spoken language. So if you are asking me what is one thing that we can do in order to get high score in IELTS speaking test, is by using phrasal verb, one of them. And I will let you know the rest of them, okay, later. Now, let's see the second question about family. Do you prefer spending time with your family or with friends? And here is my model answer. In my view, I find both of them are important. On the one hand, family is the safest place for me, where I can always share about anything without having too much worries. The other hand, I like to chill out with my friends, so I'm really having trouble if I have to choose only one. Very nice example. Now let's see at some expressions or phrases in bold and underlined. Start from in my view. In my view and on the one hand. So this is called as connectors. It connects one idea and the other ideas. So if you want to speak natural using English, then you have to make sure that you are able to use connectors flexibly in your talks like this. And then we have chill out. It's just the same like moved out. It's a phrasal verb. And then really is an adverb. So if you want to get better score, then you can use adverb in your talks. Another example is extremely. I really love. This is lovely. So those are the examples of adverbs. And the next topic is about hometown. This is very common in IELTS Part 1. And you can have a self-read. I'm going to give you 1 minute to read the questions and the model answers, and then we can go on to the next topic. 1 minute, stop from now. All right, let's move on. Now let's talk about what are some tips that I can give you, especially for IELTS speaking test. General tips to lift up your IELTS speaking score. The first is the big deal. To practice, practice, and practice. It might sound classic, it sounds typical, but I have to say that yes, it really matters. So if you really want to get band 7 and above, then you really have to practice in daily basis. And not only practicing, but you can also record your own voice and listen it back. I know sometimes it sounds weird to listen to our voice, but it actually helps you to spot your errors or mistakes that you produce during your talks. So if you can record your own voice and then you listen it back and you can notice which part that you make mistake, then you can revise that. That's a brilliant idea. And then in IELTS speaking test, I highly recommend you to always extend your answer. Like I said earlier, there is nothing mathematical about IELTS speaking test, but at least you are expected to be able to produce 1 or 2 sentences for the part 1 And if you can produce more, then the better it is, okay? And the next tips is to repeat the same questions until you get the desirable speed, pronunciation, and accuracy. This is very important, right? We don't get perfect every time on the first time. So I think I'm gonna say this. When I take my previous IELTS test, I always repeat one question. I don't know for how many, but I think it's like 5 or 6 times. And the goal of repeating that question is actually to make my tongue and my brain get used to answer those type of questions. So if I get like similar questions, then I will be familiar with the vocabulary, and that will make me kind of easier to answer the questions. So don't be too hard on yourself. That's okay to repeat one question for many times, because actually, if you know, learning a language is about repetition. If you keep repeating something, then the better the results that you will get. Okay, and then the last would be get a lot of English exposure. It's all about getting the English moment. Sometimes it's very hard for us to speak in English with anyone. It's probably your colleague, it's probably your classmates. It's that hard. But if you can create this English moment in daily basis, let's say 1 hour every day, just to listen to podcasts or videos or just to speak up, then you will start to notice that you are making progress day by day. So I'm gonna say yes, English exposure is very, very crucial. It's essential. Okay, now let's talk about, let's talk about the specific tips on IELTS speaking test to get you better score. I have discussed this before, that in order to make our speech sound even more natural is by using connectors. And there are actually lots of connectors that we can use based on the function. For example, if we want to give our ideas, then we can use these connectors. For example, in my opinion, in my view, to my mind, I'd say, as far as I'm concerned. Remember that IELTS is all about natural speaking, so it's nothing formal, nothing like that. It's okay if you want to say something like I wanna, that's okay, because it's how people talk in a normal situation, right? So IELTS speaking test is not more than just two people doing conversation, okay? And then if you want to add ideas, then here are some connectors that you can use. On the top of that, also, what's more, I'd also add that. Okay, and then the last one is the contrast idea. For example, but, however, on the one hand and the other hand, and I actually use this one, on the one hand and the other hand on my previous model answer. Other than using connectors to make our speech sound even more natural, we can also use complex grammar. So remember, at the very first beginning of this class, I say that there is equal proportion within the criteria. So there is nothing more important or less important. All of them are important, including grammar. So if you are able not to only use simple tenses like simple present, past, and future, but you are able to use complex tenses like present perfect continuous, and conditional sentences, it will show that you are a strong candidate in IELTS speaking test. So I really recommend you to use complex tenses if you can, okay? So the example is like this. Instead of just saying I live in Malang, then you can just say I've been living in Malang for 2 years now. It sounds more like a native speaker. So yeah, that's the idea. Now, then the next tips is to use idiomatic expression or phrasal verb. Phrasal verb, we have discussed that before. So here are some expressions, some expressions with over. For example, to be over, to come over, get over, look over, make over, something like this. So idiomatic expression doesn't always have to be raining cats and dogs. It doesn't always like that, but you can also use this phrasal verbs or collocations, something simpler, but still give you more score in IELTS speaking test. And then the next one is to make use of synonyms. So in your left hand here, I wrote, I like reading. This is okay, but this is very basic English. If you want to level it up, you can say, I'm fond of reading, or I'm really into reading. So knowing different ways to say something, it's very crucial in IELTS speaking test. Another example is this one. It's really good. This is acceptable. This is okay. But if you want to show more of your proficiency in English, then you could say it's outstanding. Okay. So it's more interesting. Then, yeah. Okay. And the next thing is to add adverbs. I have said this before. Some of the examples of adverbs is this one that you can read on the screen. Slowly, quickly, absolutely, really, completely. Nice. I have this one website. This is very brilliant because you can access lots of questions there. And not only the questions, but also the answer or the model answer, along with the vocabulary list that you can take a look, that you can write down on your notes, and that you can copy and use that in your talks. So yeah, I have sent this in our WhatsApp group, so you can access this website and just take a look. This is very good website. All right, now let's see if I have questions. Please ask me questions if you think my explanation is kind of unclear, or if you want to know more about IELTS speaking test part 1, you can ask me, and please just write it down in the comment or in the chat session. I'm going to take a look at it and answer your questions as best as I can. All right. While waiting for your answer, I think we can just have full practice on the part 1. So please raise your hand again if you want to know what part 1 looks like. Okay, please raise your hand. Give me a second to prepare. All right, we have Mr. Muhammad.
Okay.
Hello. How should I call you?
Okay, my full name is Muhammad Fadli Said. You can call me Fadli.
Where are you from?
Actually, I'm from Palopo City, in the south of Sulawesi province, about 400 kilometers from the capital of Sulawesi. You can go to the city by bus or by plane, because the city has already an airport.
Nice. What do you do?
Now I work as a doctor, especially neurosurgeon. I used to work from Sunday to Saturday, and I used to.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you another question, still about your work. Why did you choose this profession as a doctor?
Actually, I love a challenge profession at first, and the second, since I was at the high school, I'm a big fan of biology lesson. So I in the university, I choose faculty of medicine.
Right. Is there something that you dislike about your job?
Actually, I love my job. Something that I really excited in my job is when I succeed to heal the patient, such as the patient come to me with the decreases of consciousness, then I given some treatment or surgery to the patient, and the patient got recovery, the consciousness increase, and the patient can come to home. That's something great for me.
Okay. In the future, do you want to change your job?
Actually, I'm not change my job, and I learn IELTS practicing English to advance my specialty. I dream of going to the UK to have a fellowship there, maybe in spine section or a brain tumor section, maybe.
All right. Okay, so that's all, Mr. Fadli. What do you think of this question? Do you think it's hard, or do you think you can handle it?
I don't know, Miss.
Okay. What do you think about these questions? Do you think it's hard, or do you think you can manage this?
I can manage it, but sometimes I masih sering hang, Miss.
What is your difficulty?
Maybe a lack of vocabulary, and sometimes I a little bit anxious to face the speaker. So maybe I have to learn and practice many more.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this one thing. I don't know if it helps you or not, but anxiety, it affects us. I mean, if you are in a evaluative kind of ambience, then you get this sort of anxious anxiety, then it could just block your mind, and you cannot think of any proper words or the right words that you want to say. So I think you have to really deal with this intrinsic factor, something that is within yourself. That is because you also notice that you feel nervous and anxious if you want to speak, especially in English. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe. So yeah, because I feel that too, actually. It's everyone's problem, but one thing that I can say to you, practice makes you better. It doesn't make you perfect, but it makes you better. So yes. Yeah, that's the thing.
Minimally raise my confidence.
Exactly. Yeah.
Confidential.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, now let's talk about your performance. I like the way you said when I asked you, why did you choose this profession? And then you said, well, actually, I'm a big fan of biology. A big fan of is a good expression to show your English ability. Okay?
Okay.
And then, however, you have minor errors, especially that deals with grammatical. For example, when you said I love challenge profession, it's not challenge profession, but I love challenging job, I love challenging professions. Because challenge is tantangan, tapi
verb,
kalau it's a noun actually.
Oh, noun.
Yeah, but challenging, it's an adjective atau kata sifat ya. So we need that in order to say the thing that you want to say. I love challenging job. I love challenging profession, something like that. Okay. And then when I ask you this question in the future, do you want to change jobs? I think it will be better if you can say it in future tense instead of present tense, because I'm asking you something that will happen in the future. Okay, so you can say, I think I will not change my job instead of I'm not change my job.
Okay.
That's all. But overall, you do good.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Practice. Okay.
Nice. Thank you. Next.
Thank you.
Yeah. Glenn, Mr. Glenn.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, can we start now?
Oh, yeah.
All right. What's your complete name?
Yes.
What's your complete name? Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Sorry for the unstable connection. Yeah.
No problem.
My full name is Glenn Pradana, but you can call me Glenn.
Where do you come from?
I was born and live in Jakarta. Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, now I was an IT staff for a government institution since 2018 till present.
All right. Now let's talk about your job. Why did you choose this job?
Well, actually, well, it's a long story. Actually, when I was a kid, I really love to draw and I also a big fan of math. So when I graduated from the high school, I was consulting with my teacher and my family, where should I enroll to for the university. Then I choose to information and technology which recently brought me into a job opportunity as also as managing website, which can accommodate my passion in drawing and my love to the math subject.
All right. How much work do you do in a week?
It's a 9 to 5 working hour in the Monday until Friday. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have to work on weekends as well?
Not quite much. Yeah, rarely.
Yes. What are some challenges in your job? Do you have any?
Some challenges. Yeah. Perhaps I have faced many challenges in my earlier working years, especially in 2018, where I never have any professional experience before. But now, as I'm working for a couple of years, and I also got some training and certification. Some difficulties I have changed are now some difficulty I have faced are now least likely to be frustrating. Yeah.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, please let me know how do you feel? How you feel about the questions?
Well, I was kind of nervous actually. Yeah, I mean, I never used English for a daily basis before. Yeah.
Okay, so it's mostly about the nervousness, but you really have no problem with vocabulary or something like technical it is to speak in English? No.
About the vocabulary, well, I actually, I kind of feel like my biggest weakness is the about the tenses. Yeah, I mean, when I wanted to say yes, saya dulu mengalami kesulitan.
Yeah.
Yes, I have faced or maybe I was kind of difficulty having a difficulty with the
Right.
well, what word should I use? Have or was or yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now let's talk about the performance. I think you produce so many interesting vocabulary. Most of them are advanced vocabulary. Let me show you some. You said which I can accommodate. Accommodate is a nice word. And 9 to 5 working hour. That's very nice. Okay. And couple of years is also a nice expression. Enroll to a university instead of mungkin kalau yang basic you could say enter to university, got into a university, but no, you didn't use that. You said I enrolled to university. Very nice. I think you don't have difficulties with producing vocabulary, but yes, you're right. If your biggest problem is you produce too many fillers and pauses, like something like that, because when you keep producing that in a how to say that, normal amount is normal, but it's too much, it is not good. Okay, because it shows that you are hesitant. You know what I mean, right? Okay.
Got it.
I think you have to, like practice not to produce too many fillers by managing that is happening within yourself. Something like anxiety and nervousness. You have to, like manage that feeling first. It's very normal to be nervous, but you have to accept that feeling and to stay focused on the ideas or the things that you have in mind and then let it out through your mouth. So you're not going to like something like that. Not too many, I mean. It's okay to produce that fillers, it's fine, but like I said, normal amount is normal. Yeah.
Noted.
Yeah, I didn't really see that you have problems with grammar because as long as you talk, I only get like this minor errors that you made. That is when you said about your profession, you said, now I was an IT staff. Now I am an IT staff.
I am.
Okay. Yes.
Oke. Oh iya, sama ada satu pertanyaan lagi, ma'am. What should I call the interviewer? I mean, for example, like Miss Adinda or NC maybe would be fine, or Mrs. Yeah, I kind of have a difficulty for to call the female interviewer with Miss or Mrs. Yeah.
I think you don't have to bother that because your examiner is native speaker, so just call them by name.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah, it's common. Bule selalu dipanggil namanya itu mungkin lebih ke culture kita.
Last name ya.
Lebih ke culture kita.
Ya biasanya kan oh iya siap.
Kalau di kita kan biar sopan dipanggil Miss NC gitu ya, atau Miss Adinda gitu. But them, I don't think so. Jadi bisa call them by name, address them by name.
By their first name. By their first name.
Last name is okay. Or you can just
yes,
ask them, how should I call you? Bisa gitu aja.
many thanks.
Okay, no
Yeah.
problem. Right, now let's go to the next person. Miss Rahmi.
Hi, Miss.
Hello, can we start now?
Yes, please.
Okay, please introduce yourself first.
Okay, I am Rahmi Rahmawati. I am from Bandung, West Java.
Where do you live
You can
now?
call me Rahmi.
Okay, where do you live now?
Sorry?
Where do
Okay,
you live now?
I live in Bandung as well.
Okay. Now let's talk about the place where you live. Do you like the house you grew up in?
Sure, absolutely. I really like the place where I grew up and I lived. Actually, I've been growing up and living in the same place, so I can assess what, in my opinion, is the best place. Since I couldn't find the difficult challenges to cope with.
Okay. What was your favorite area of the house you grew up in?
I can say the best area I grew up is my yard in my house, because there I could spend so many time while I am doing another thing, like I can do my homeworks while I can see the beautiful sights, and sometimes I also can listen to my neighbors talking about many things up to date.
All right. Where do you want to live in the future?
To me, living here is the best thing I could ever felt. So yeah, I'm still thinking about not leaving my neighborhood, but apparently I am going to live abroad, but I heard from some friends that there are so many challenges when we lived out of our hometown.
Okay. Do you have a good relationship with your neighbors?
Sorry, could you repeat?
Of course. Do you have a good relationship with your neighbors?
I have what relationship? That
good relationship.
Oh, good. Yes, I can say that. I believe that my neighbors are kind people, and to me they are so nice. And also we in certain way we can help each other to solve some environmental issues, or to solve some daily problems we get.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miss.
How do you feel about the questions? Oh, hang on for a second.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Miss.
No problem.
I feel still I should think first to say, and I feel that I have too much correction and repetition. Is it true, Miss?
Okay, this is the first meeting. Okay, so take it. So, you're right. You're right in some point that you said you have to think first before you speak. Because when I asked you the first question and second questions, you kind of lose coherence. I didn't see any relevance with your answers and the questions, because when I asked you about did you like the house you grew up in, somehow some part of your questions answer the questions, but then the rest of your explanation doesn't really answer the questions, because you said I can assess the place. Assess. So what are you going to say? What did you want to explain actually?
Menilai sih sebenarnya apa ya?
Menilai gimana?
Menjudge gitu, memberikan apa ya, penilaian gitu, apa ya, saya juga bingung.
Terus tadi tiba-tiba ngomong the challenge I couldn't cope with. We didn't talk about the challenge, or at least I didn't get there. I didn't get the point. So I think this is your issue. Some things that you have to deal with. If you want to take some time to think, probably like more seconds to think, that's okay. So you don't have to directly answer my questions, or you don't have to directly answer the questions that is delivered by the examiner, but you can just, like to spend some more seconds by producing, well, let me think. Boleh ngomong kayak gitu. Jadi that's kind of hard questions, I think. Jadi kita bisa memberikan respons kita terhadap pertanyaannya untuk mengulur beberapa detik supaya kita bisa mikir nih kira-kira jawaban apa ya yang mau kita berikan. Karena bahaya juga kalau misalkan akhirnya tadi karena kepengen segera menjawab pertanyaan, akhirnya nggak terlalu koherensinya jadinya berkurang, karena di beberapa part iya menjawab pertanyaan, tapi di beberapa part ternyata agak nyelentang gitu ya. Saya nggak tahu nyelentang tuh bahasa Indonesia nggak ya. Saya orang Malang soalnya, jadi kayak agak off track gitu. Nah itu yang harus kita latih ya di sini ya. Jadi di IELTS speaking test saya sudah bilang it's a matter of two people doing conversation together. Jadi boleh kok kita sambil ngomong, well I think that's a hard question honestly. Ngomongnya bisa dipelanin gitu sambil mengulur sekian detik sambil okay, I'm gonna answer this. Well, blah 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 blah. Tuh ya. Itu menurut saya. And also, you produce some of mispronunciation, tapi sangat minor ya. Contohnya house, it's not house tapi house. It is strong A, house. Terus bukan homework, bukan home, itu dibacanya adalah homework. Jadi bukan homework, tapi kalau house bukan house tapi house.
I see. Okay.
Gitu ya. Terus listen, T-nya tuh langsung hilang ya. Jadi silent T kita ngomongnya, bukan listen tapi adalah listen. Good. What I like from you, you also produce nice expressions and connectors. Contohnya tadi ada apparently. Terus I could ever felt, itu udah advanced. Okay, terus habis itu in certain way, itu juga sudah bagus. So that's all.
Thank you so much, Miss.
All right. Okay. Now let's go to the chats, Q&A. Wait. Saya gedein dulu. Okay, let's see if I have questions. Miss, how to avoid so many pauses whenever I speak in English? It seems that I think too much, and that's true, I do. Yeah, it's everyone's problem. Karena mungkin ya kita tuh kalau udah tahu bayarnya 3 juta IELTS, nggak mau dong ya gagal karena udah mahal banget. Terus habis itu pengennya sekali coba ya harus lulus gitu ya, sehingga kita merasakan pressure yang sangat-sangat tinggi. Dan juga examiner, they will most likely to wear their poker face. Jadi examiner nggak akan senyum-senyum kayak saya ya. Examiner itu akan kalau they didn't wear, if they don't wear mask, dia akan pasang poker face. Jadi akan ngeliatin atau nggak ngeliatin teman-teman, mungkin dia ngeliat kakinya gitu ya. So mungkin itu juga bisa bikin kita nervous, atau dia langsung lihat ke kita tanpa senyum gitu ya. Jadi bisa juga kita jadi nervous. So this kind of situations that we have, it probably be one of the main source of anxiety and nervousness. So to avoid so many pauses adalah dengan cara how to say that, familiarize ourselves with the topics. Okay, we cannot predict how many topics or what topics that we will get on the D-Day. Itu betul, kita nggak bisa secara precisely ya, itu memprediksi kira-kira akan dapat topik yang seperti apa. Tapi kalau mau belajar IELTS Speaking Test, itu cara belajarnya memang harus berdasarkan topik. Jadi misal untuk hari ini kita belajarnya adalah tentang speaking about hometown. Nah, kita langsung belajar. Jadi, what are some vocabulary that relates to hometown? Itu kita pelajarin. Hometown selesai, kita pindah ke topik yang lainnya. Seperti itu. Jadi kalau misalkan kita sudah familiar dengan banyak topik, itu akan bisa mereduce our nervousness. Because actually, we cannot do much about these situations that we will have on the D-Day. Kita nggak bisa melakukan banyak hal ya tentang perasaan tertekan karena tes yang mahal, atau perasaan tertekan karena examiner yang kelihatan judes gitu ya, itu kan adalah external faktor gitu. Tapi yang kita bisa manage itu adalah sesuatu yang berada dalam kontrol kita, yang berada di dalam gitu ya. One of them is tadi untuk practice and familiarize yourself with so many topics, okay? And then, yeah, that's it, actually. Jadi memang kalau kita bicara soal speaking itu semua itu adalah tentang practice, practice, and practice. Gitu. Saya nggak bisa bilang yang lain-lainnya juga karena memang speaking itu bukan sesuatu yang bisa didapat secara instan. You cannot be like fluent, like a native speaker within 10 days, misal 10 days. Itu kan harus ada prosesnya. Jadi ya memang caranya adalah itu tadi, dengan practice dan familiarize yourself with the topics. So that's my answer. Okay. Excuse me, miss, is there any tips how to learn to speak fluently without thinking first? Sometimes I feel lost in vocabulary. This is a hard question. I don't know how to answer this, but we always think first. There is no such thing as not thinking, because even though I talk like this in front of you, I always think first. And there is some kind of translation process in my head just to let out the words that is in my head and let it out through my mouth. But the difference probably would be because I spent years speaking in English. I teach English for years, and that I get more exposures than you do. I speak English all the time, every day. So that's why I get used to it. So it seems like I probably not thinking first, but I do think first. So that's the thing. Kita semuanya pasti akan berpikir dulu karena ya namanya foreign language ya, kita susah kalau misalkan langsung tek dek gitu ya keluar gitu. Cuman mungkin perbedaannya adalah seberapa terbiasa kita berpikir dalam bahasa Inggris gitu. Nah, itu bedanya. Jadi, apakah kita berpikir dalam bahasa Indonesia habis itu baru ditranslate, atau apakah kita secara otomatis itu sudah berpikir dalam bahasa Inggris? Nah, kalau mau berpikir dalam bahasa Inggris, mungkin ini saya ganti ya, bukan without thinking, tapi to think in English in your head. Oke? Itu caranya adalah tadi exposure. Jadi, kita harus membiasakan diri untuk mendapatkan paparan bahasa Inggris sebanyak-banyaknya. I'm kind of person who don't like to study in a serious kind of way. Saya nggak suka belajar secara serius kayak gini sekarang sebenarnya karena one way that I always do when I learn English is by listening to video, listening to podcasts, and just to imitate what they say. If I catch some nice words or expressions, I will note it down and then repeat that and practice that in my talks. Itu adalah cara saya. Mungkin teman-teman bisa cari caranya masing-masing, bagaimana cara comfortable to learn in English, and then just, repeat over and over again until your brain get used to talking English. And then you can produce directly from your mind through your mouth. That's my answer. Okay, another hard question. How long we can get fluently in talking if we want to take IELTS test, Miss? It really depends on your proficiency. Saya bilang ya, karena semua orang punya proficiency yang berbeda-beda. Jadi tergantung teman-teman proficiency-nya udah sampai mana. Apakah basic, apakah intermediate, ataukah sudah advanced. Kalau sudah advanced, mau 7 and above, dapat band score 7 and above, itu sudah gampang ya. Tapi kalau misalkan mungkin masih 5 gitu, kalau di IELTS Speaking Test, terus tiba-tiba mau fluent, kita kalau ngomong fluent mungkin 6 atau 6,5, itu agak berat ya. Saya nggak bilang impossible, but it's a tough job, it's a big job. So, saya nggak bisa bilang berapa lama, karena tergantung dari satu, proficiency, dan dua, berapa lama teman-teman bisa spend times untuk belajar bahasa Inggris. Itu juga salah satu faktor yang sangat mempengaruhi kapan kita bisa fluent. Gitu. Oke. Apakah ada pertanyaan lagi? Okay. Is there any way that I can have a... Oh. Okay. Right. So I think that's all for today. The time is up. I'm gonna see you tomorrow at the same time, but with different topic. We will be talking about IELTS Part 2. Okay. Oh, ada pertanyaan lagi. Miss, di mana ya kita bisa dapat macam-macam referensi latihan topik? Itu tadi di PPT saya udah kasih ada link gitu di situ. Bisa belajar dari situ. Saya biasanya kemarin saya ambil IELTS sekitar bulan Februari ini kalau nggak salah. Februari tahun ini saya ambil IELTS, saya belajarnya dari itu, IELTSmaterials.com. Itu untuk yang website. But if you want to learn or to listen something, saya suka dengerin IELTS Kid atau IELTS Speaking Success. Itu di YouTube. Nanti saya mungkin bisa share linknya. I really like to listen to him because he is British, but he speaks very clear. And I really have no problem listening to him. Sangat gampang didengerinnya dan sangat bagus tips-tipsnya. Dia juga ngajarin IELTS, jadi bisa lewat situ aja. So I have 2 recommendation. Yang pertama websitenya adalah IELTSmaterial.com. Kemudian yang satunya itu adalah YouTube channel, IELTS Speaking Academy. Okay. So thank you for joining my class. I hope that information helps you, even only a little. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you and bye-bye, everyone. Thank you, Miss. Thank you.